Hi everyone, I'm Ernie Berry, and I'm glad you could join me for a tour of my railroad, the East Raton in Santa Fe. It's set in the southwest of the early 50s when the Santa Fe ran from Chicago to Los Angeles. I've created 23 miles of that over Raton Pass from Trinidad, Colorado to Raton, New Mexico. Most of what you'll see are actual trains of that era. I belong to an operating group, so we run these trains prototypically. I'm often asked, why model railroading? Well, I've always loved trains and I still do, but it's more than that. It's a way to go back in time when life was simpler and less stressful. I can come down here and recreate my childhood in the 50s. So let's go see what's running today. So follow me. It's early morning on August 22nd, 1952, as westbound train 51, a double-headed empty coal drag, rumbles through Trinidad, headed to Jansen, where a helper engine will be added. '51 picks up helper number 3877 in Jansen to assist up to 3.5% grade on the east side of the pass. Local switcher 2252 works the industries on the outskirts of Trinidad. Train 51 leaves Jansen triple-headed. '51 approaching Morley mine complex. This is the last mine to operate on the Santa Fe main line. It closed in 1956. The coal drag rounding Wooten Ranch. It's the tightest curve on the Santa Fe main line. Uncle Dick Wooten sold the rights to the Santa Fe Trail to the railroad in 1878, and work began to lay tracks over the pass from Trinidad, Colorado to Raton, New Mexico. '51 approaches Wooten, activating one of the few remaining semaphores on the railroad. The train will stop here to release the helper for its return to Jansen. She'll also stop at the water plugs to refill and set brake retainers for the descent to Raton. As 51 approaches Raton Tunnel, she'll encounter a late afternoon thunderstorm, a frequent occurrence at these higher altitudes. The tunnels are the highest elevation on the Santa Fe main line at 7,600 feet. Meanwhile in Raton, Train 18, the Eastbound Super Chief, arrives for a brief station stop. The Super was the Santa Fe's premier passenger train, also known as the Train of the Stars, as the glamorous Hollywood set rode it from Los Angeles to Chicago before the advent of commercial air travel. Scratch-built, this Fairbanks Morse twin coaling tower was one of a kind. I built this utilizing a photo as reference. Finally obtaining actual plans, I found the dimensions close enough to be believable. Train 51 has exited Raton Tunnel at Lynn and descends into Railroad Canyon. As she approaches the Kyoto crossover, she'll pass under US 85. 51 will wait for the super before crossing over to the eastbound main to enter Raton Yard and terminate a run. The rockwork in the canyon is hand-carved plaster over blue building foam. Train 18 is straining up to 3.3% grade. Train 51 entering the arrival track behind the limestone roundhouse and turntable. The Spanish-style Raton station is a stand-in until I find the time to scratch build the original, which is much larger and still in use today. The Super Chief tops the grade at Lynn and enters the original tunnel bore, completed in 1879. Here we have Elko Road Switcher 2103, the power on Train 81 eastbound mine run, switching the Colorado Fuel and Iron Complex at Morley. As I mentioned earlier, the Morley mine was the last mine operating in this district. It was a large complex. There was a whole mining town built up in the hills behind the mine itself. Did quite a bit of research on this and discovered that this is what was known as a drift mine. It was bored into the side of the hill. You can see the trestle here that does go into the hillside. The building in the foreground was a power station, not a tipple. Tipples ordinarily sorted and cleaned the coal. In this case, there's a bunker underneath the trestle itself, and that's called a grizzly. And that bunker sorted the coal by size. The sorted coal was then shipped out to other areas to be cleaned and processed. This building powered the large complex of the mining town itself. The mine used mules to haul the mine carts in and out of the mine, and the reason they did this is they're one of the adjacent mines in Dawson ran into a pocket of methane using electric trolleys and killed a large number of miners. So Morley was established early on using mules only to extract the ore, the coal from the mine and the tailings. At one time, this trestle passed over the valley that we're standing in to the mountains on the other side until that ran out of coal, and that was then dismantled. Up in the background, at the top of the hill, you can see the church that administered to the mining complex, and that's St. Aloysius. That church fascia still exists today. When the mine was shut down in 1956, the mining company destroyed all the buildings. They burned everything to the ground with the exception of the church. And that, as I said, still remains fascia only. Researching and building this mine was one of my most enjoyable projects on the railroad. Exiting the tunnel, the super crosses the state line into Colorado and runs through Raton. As we approach the Raton Ranch curve, we see the Turner siding to the left, which services the rancher's cattle pens. Train 33, the westbound red ball, the fast freight runs through Trinidad. The red ball meets the Super Chief at Morley on the east side of the pass. As the Super makes her stop in Trinidad, Colorado and Wyoming Train 701, a mixed freight, picks up a combine from the Railway Express Depot. This train was dubbed the Spaghetti Flyer because of the Italian workers it hauled to the coke plants and coal mines west of Trinidad. The Spaghetti Flyer departs Jansen Yard for Carbo and Cokeville. This yard was an interchange between the Colorado Wyoming and the Santa Fe. The Denver and Rio Grande Western, as well as the Colorado and Southern, had trackage rights over the Santa Fe from their yards in Trinidad to Jansen Yard. The flyer passing the coke ovens in Carville, where these ovens stretched for miles. The brick coke ovens were filled from the top with coal and ignited. The oven was sealed up, leaving a small air vent for combustion. After a number of days, all the impurities had been cooked out of the coal, leaving the coke, a carbon fuel, for the blast ovens of the steel mill in Pueblo, Colorado. 701 arrives Cokedale to drop off a load of cribbing and mine supplies. She'll pick up 2 empties and a tank car of coal tar, a byproduct of the coking process. When I began building this layout, it was more of a rail fanning adventure where I could sit back and watch trains run through the scenery. And of course it used my building skills and my creativity. It was an outlet for that. But a group of model railroaders in the area have an operations group called the Little Finger Train Group, and they found me, and that changed the focus entirely of what I was doing. If it hadn't been for this group, I may have lost interest and never completed the railroad. So it's been a lot of fun to be involved. This group gets involved in running their trains every week at different layouts, kind of a round robin. So that means that if I've got projects going, I'm going to be back for an operating session in about 4 or 5 weeks. So I've got that amount of time to complete a project to get it set up for another operating session. Yeah, real trains do real work, and that's what this operating group is all about. When people show up, they get train orders, and we run fast clocks, and everybody has to take a train that they're assigned and do real work on the railroad. We use a digital command control system, so it's radio throttles. You can have cornfield meats. It's not like the old Lionel under the Christmas tree. An operation session is like theater. The railroad has hidden staging at either end, and trains come from the offstage onto the stage, which is the scenery portion of the layout. They do real work, and then they depart and go back to hidden staging. They go off stage. Done with their switching, the flyer heads back to Jansen. On the hill above the Red Ball is the Wooten Land and Fuel Car, a Craftsman kit I modified to fit the terrain. The red ball will enter Raton Yard and get a crew change. As Raton is a division point, most trains switch crews. Motive power is removed for servicing and replaced, and cabooses, known as way cars on the Santa Fe, are also exchanged, as the conductor of the train demanded his own caboose, feather bedding at its best. Train 124, the Eastbound Grand Canyon, arrives in Raton, powered by an ABA set of Elko PAs in the splendid Santa Fe war bonnet scheme. This is my favorite engine and paint scheme. Okay, Santa Claus brought me my first train at Christmas in about 1951. It was an American Flyer Santa Fe passenger set. This kept me going in the hobby for quite a while. I got into HO for a little period of time. But then girls and cars came along in my teens, and that ended my pursuit of railroading as a hobby. Now let's fast forward to about 1983-84. Athearn reintroduced the Santa Fe Elko PAs in HO scale, and my wife bought me a set for Christmas that year, and that got me back into the hobby full-time, full bore. Engine 9065, the Raton Yard switcher, prepares to swap cabooses on the red ball. Auditor Scotty McMengies is at the throttle. "965 is done for the day. After a spin on the turntable, she heads to the roundhouse for the night." After meeting its eastbound counterpart in Trinidad, Train 125, the Westbound Grand Canyon, arrives in Raton. In the background, Raton Mesa, locally known as Goat Hill, towers above the city of Raton. Train 125, the westbound Grand Canyon, leaves for Williams, Arizona, where she'll leave the main line and head north to the Grand Canyon National Park. Engine 211, new power for the Red Ball, is turned to head west. The F7s sport the freight scheme cat whiskers on a nose. .211 backs down to her train. Train 54, Eastbound LSX, Livestock Extra, arrives at the West Raton yard limit before being permitted to enter the yard, where she'll pick up some fed and watered stock, switch power, and caboose before departing. .1794 is the next Norfolk and Western Y3, one of 7 that the Santa Fe purchased during the war years to assist heavy troop trains over the pass, but they proved too slow for this purpose and were sold to the Pennsylvania Railroad in 1946. I kept them on my version of the railroad because I like them. Train 33 with new crew and power finally gets cleared for departure. Train 54 leaves for Wooten. Wooten switcher, Elko 2320, pulls 2 cars from Turner siding to be picked up by the stock extra. This railroad is located in a 30 by 40 foot room. There's 500 foot of track, includes hidden staging, 125 turnouts, and engines and cars too numerous to mention. All the buildings, cars and people, rail cars and engines have been weathered to achieve an overall weathered patina. The railroad has been 20 years in construction, but there's always more to do. There's an old saying in the hobby, if you think you're finished, you didn't plan well. Everything that you've seen in this video has been made possible by the National Model Railroad Association the NMRA, a worldwide organization that promotes and supports the hobby by establishing standards, information sharing via websites, and a great magazine, conventions, and clinics. It also encourages skills through an achievement program. This hobby requires skills such as planning and research, woodworking, electrical and wiring, electronics, civil engineering such as track laying and bridge building, painting, structure building, and scenery, my favorite to name a few. Train 54 backs down to the freight house to pick up her caboose before departing Wooten. Approaching Starkville, this siding services feed and grain supply businesses and a farm equipment dealer. The Livestock Extra powers through Trinidad, headed to the packing houses back east with her load of beef cattle destined to become Wimpy or White Castle burgers. I'll bet the cattle accommodations aren't up to Super Chief standards. Work train X4041 departs Raton for Raton, where the track gang will clean the tunnel drains, replacing ballast and damaged ties, the result of the frequent rains over the pass. After the maintenance train ties up on the center siding in Wooten, mine run switcher 2103, now westbound train 81, works the Wooten Land and Fuel Company tipple. Back in Raton, we see Eastbound Train 46, GFX, the Grapefruit Express arriving. After picking up 6 ice reefers and a crew change, 46 heads up Railroad Canyon towards Lynn. The abandoned interlocking tower at Lynn once controlled trackage between Lynn and Wooten when Raton Tunnel was single-tracked. At one time there was a lady of the night known to inhabit the tower, facilitated by roaming foamer Dave Caproni. Here's an opportunity to observe the original 1879 East Tunnel bore. A rail fanning experience, watching a string of brightly colored reefers wind their way through the serpentine curves of Starkville. The large feed and grain complex is not prototypical to Trinidad, but was a fun project combining modified kits and scratch-built structures in order to conceal the exit of trains off the layout. Train 46, with her carloads of California produce, leads to the markets to the east.
I hear it, just don't see it.
I thought the cargo.
Oh, there you are. Hey, you're coming in here? I didn't know that.
Well, all of a sudden it got quiet.
Yeah, I'm the only one down here.
Yeah.
See, this already tells you.
What's this one?
That was me, Charlie. That was me.
Oh, I was wondering, it was heading towards the pit. I was getting worried.
I'm gonna drop them here, push the rest of the train back, come back, pick them up, and then take them over. I'm not taking the whole train over there.
Yeah. This car really runs because the magnet's right there. Car is pulling
So
all
how's it going tonight, Al?
Well, not too bad. No head-on collisions, no derailments. So I guess everything's going okay.
Yeah,
Train 33, request permission to enter yard.
Where are you coming from and what are you doing?
I'm coming from Mohuta, and I gotta set out a UP gun and pick up a CS gun and add a helper if it's available.
keep going backwards.
We've got the small mail here tonight.
Snail mail.
Snail mail, there we go. Remember years ago when the ship, first time he came here, when he ran the system, layout was a little, track layout was a little different.
Let's move the fleet.
And he did it like bang. How'd you get that done so fast? And you push on a caboose. I said, you can't push on a caboose. It's a wood caboose. You got a steel frame you can push on it. So it's all has wood frame.
He may have you do that, but it just,
Okay.
this is separate switching, but if he needs help with some other stuff,
All right, I've got the
and you can use this engine.
train to go up.
Trains are in, trains are out, made up, gone. Yard's clean.
Well, things are winding down. Trains are put away. Assignments are done. Meanwhile, Al's been down here for the last hour and a half.
I'm wound down.
Notice the finesse with which I do this. 10 years of training and I got this down pat.
Ta-da! All right, this is what we do for the other 4 hours.
You know, you trained very well. He was kind.
Thank you.
Didn't even see her lips move.
How wide up? You know,
I normally do it. I go down and up, and I get out. But then I usually do another down and up.
Okay. Wider.
Got that.
Got that?
Do you hear that whistle down the line? I figure that it's engine number 49. She's the only one that'll sound that way on the entrance into Topeka and the Santa Fe. See the old smoke rising round the bend. I reckon that she knows she's gonna meet a friend. Folks around these parts get the time of day from the entrance into Topeka and the Santa Fe. Here she comes. Ooh, hey Jim, you better get the ring.
all right. You have clearance too. Let's say Witten, just for the hell of it.
Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna come in, he's gonna help.
So you, oh God, then you get that guy in the middle track there too, don't we? Okay. Well, so you'll figure it out. Thanks, Bill.